I know we've kind of already touched on that, but I can see in the team members that I have met that work at Skill Builders and just the impact that you guys have had is incredible. And I'm just getting to know you. So
So
for me
much.
to, yeah, for me to say, hi, nice to meet you. Wow, you're making a huge difference right off the bat is just really cool. Like I have goosebumps right now thinking about it. So,
Well, we
um,
appreciate all that you all do because, you make it possible for us to do what we do. So we thank you right back. So I'm Jane Bomba, and I have worked at Skill Builders now for 19 years, 18 of which have been full time. I've served as a speech pathologist, a lead speech pathologist, and as the assistant director. I also did start the AAC program that we proudly run at Skill Builders. In the past year, I've moved to a part time role as I've moved to the school setting to expand my skill set. I now work full time for Arlington Public Schools in Virginia and part time for Skill Builders. I do a combination of virtual therapy as well as IEEs and staff mentoring. And I was always interested in AAC since I studied with Karen Erickson at UNC and even before that at the University of Wisconsin. So back in 2007, when I first came on, we didn't really have easy access to iPads like we do now. They were really just coming out.
mhm,
So we did a lot of low tech solutions.
mhm.
And as technology became more and more available, my interest continued to grow along with it. And Skill Builders let me really foster that and get the trainings that I wanted to have and needed to have.
Mhm.
And then in 2014, I was looking back to see when our first lamp referral came in. And I was just reading back through all the emails, our correspondence about, oh, I don't know, lamp. Have you heard of
Yeah.
this one? I could probably take this client. So it was actually really fun to look back in 2014 and just see like where we started because I haven't
Wow.
reached at that time.
Yeah.
But that's how it started is we actually got a lamp referral, a client who wanted a lamp trained therapist 12 years ago. Um,
Wow.
so we had reached out to Teresa Dubovsky,
Hmm.
who at that time was our PRC rep.
Yeah.
Came in and she trained us and she provided us with the app.
Hmm.
And a whole bunch of us went and got trained by the Center for AAC and Autism. And I saw John speak for the first time.
Lucky duck.
It was wonderful.
Yeah.
And then Amy Beerider joined us in 2016. So then we had two certified staff members, myself and Amy. And
Hmm.
that's when we became a center just 10 years ago now. And we've really embraced, I believe, the LAMP approach. We do a lot of child led therapy, we do a lot of co treat with OT.
Hmm.
Um, we just have fun with it at Skill Builders.
That is wonderful.
Mhm.
So it all started with that one person knocking on your door. And
Yep.
so I'm so curious to know what about LAMP like stuck out to you or made you feel like, okay, this is actually gonna
Hmm.
help our patients that we're serving, the families, the community, because there's so many tools out there. And so for this one person to say, hey, I want this, and then it to start this just amazing wave of of lamp at your facility. I'm just so curious if you could talk to me about why lamp and how it has changed your
You
practice.
know, at the time, we were doing, like I said, a lot of low tech solutions, which included PECs. In 2007, there was still a lot of that PECs approach happening.
Mhm.
And I wasn't having success, and I didn't feel good about the way I was doing therapy. And I really was looking for something else. I didn't know what, the options were. I was only 6 or 7 years into my practice and I wanted more guidance. So when this
Mhm.
came around, this just seemed like such a better fit for me. I wasn't doing other behaviorally based
Mhm.
language interventions, and it just felt so different and uncomfortable for me to be practicing in that way. So when I
Mhm.
realized I could be doing language intervention in a way I was already doing it, um,
Right.
just some extra components, it was just an automatic fit for me.
I think that's a great, distinction that you make because so often, as I'm meeting people all over talking about AAC, using AAC in therapy, I think it's easy for us to feel this sense of pressure or that we aren't trained in this. We don't know how to do this. Nobody taught us how to. But the distinction you made just then about I was already doing language therapy, and this was a beautiful way to do
Yep.
language therapy with AAC. That's so cool. So, can you explain more to me about what you mean by that?
Yeah. So, now as in my role as a mentor, I see a lot of not necessarily even younger clinicians, but clinicians who are newer to AAC
Mhm.
really kind of get stuck on that technology piece and feel that this is something new to them or somehow outside their scope just because
Mhm.
there's a new tool. I think we
Mhm.
stop and we pause and we realize this is just another tool to do what we're already doing. We can
Mhm.
all kind of relax and enjoy it again. And that's something that's helped me because technology has changed in the past 10 years. And,
Mhm.
we've gone from new voice to empower, and the app's different now, even. We're about
Mhm.
to have all these AI tools come our way. And I think if we can just continue to focus on the relationship with our students, on that
Mhm.
engagement piece, um, and on the language therapy piece of it, it's easier for everybody. So we were always play-based and
Mhm.
child-led. Since before I came on the team, that was always our approach. It was natural to us being a speech and OT practice together that we're child-led, we're play-focused. But this really just cemented in some of those other principles like readiness to learn. And it
Mhm.
really gave us some language to talk about what we were already doing. And
Mhm.
I think parents really like that, that you can point out these components and say, here's why we're doing it that way. And I think it
Mhm.
also helps us trust in the process because sometimes it feels uneasy to go into a session and, I've got a goal in mind or some targets in mind, but I don't necessarily have like this structured plan. So
Mhm.
having the language around the components I'm trying to implement just um, helps me feel confident in what I can feel is right. You have to really be comfortable taking your time and letting the moment guide you and letting the child guide you. And it's really hard sometimes to sit back, to observe, to let
Mhm.
it unfold naturally. But that's when you get those the best moments, right? The truest, realest, most natural moments that are going to generalize and going to stick and going to have that joy that helps us really learn.
So if you could, as you're mentoring clinicians and families that you're working with, if
Mhm.
you could give them like 3 words to describe the LAMP certification process or the Center of Excellence distinction or just using LAMP in therapy in general, what 3 words would you use to kind of describe this process?
Well, you've already said it. Joyful. That was the
Yeah.
first word that come to my mind. Challenging, but so truly rewarding. It keeps us coming back even on the hard days. Because the rewards, there's nothing like it when you get those breakthrough moments. There was one question you asked that I liked. You were asking
Yeah.
about those breakthrough moments. And
Oh,
I
yes.
thought of two that were really special to me. The first was a very young child. I think she must have been a year old.
Mm.
And she was working at the one hit level, but we had changed the all icon to say mommy. And she learned to call her mom in the room, and mommy came running in with hugs and kisses. And
Oh
I
my
just feel
goodness.
like that was the day like she met her mother almost. Like
Ugh.
connection just changed. And to be able to be there and witness both of them loving
Mm.
that moment so much, that just really
Mm.
has stayed with me.
Oh my goodness. And how do you top that, really?
How do you tell
Yeah.
that?
I mean, that's one of
Mhm.
those moments where you're like, okay, my job here is done.
Yeah. I've had other fun ones, little kids engaging with other kids using age appropriate
Oh,
vocabulary.
love it.
They love that help page, all those naughty words, but finding that joy and using it to connect with each other is where it's at.
Do you guys do like parent training or coaching, or can you talk about how you're helping caregivers with device carryover?
Yep. So we include parents who want to be included in every session. They're right there, either at the table or on the floor with us. For
Mhm.
parents who prefer not to be in the session, we give explicit carryover and homework. But really, what we want our families to be doing is integrating that AAC into daily routines and into play. And I always think that parents are pretty happy when they find out that it's not homework, it's not a sit
Yeah.
down separate activity. You do it
Mhm.
while you're already doing your other stuff. And that just makes it easy. We
Brilliant.
also run a parent support group. It's
Oh,
anywhere
awesome.
from a couple times a year up to 4 or 5 times a year. I need to schedule one for the spring ASAP. But we bring in families from all over the DMV. We sometimes meet in person and sometimes virtually. And it's a parent-led group that we are just supporting. So parents talk a lot about IEP development and home carryover, as well as use of their technology. It's
That
wonderful.
is, yeah, that is fantastic. I know that that's a really wonderful resource and something that's kind of hard to get off the ground, in my experience. So that's very, again, that speaks to how you guys are pouring into your families and how everybody is bought into, hey, we can do this. That's very cool. Hmm. Any words of wisdom that you would want to impart on clinics maybe that are considering the Center of Excellence?
Take the leap and go for it because it has helped me with all of my clients, not just my clients who use AAC. I have learned so much about therapy and language development, engagement, parent training. And LAMP has become a huge part of my life. Anyone who knows me knows that I could talk about it forever. But it's because it really has impacted what I do and, helped me continue to grow and love what I do. So I say go for it.
So, how can people learn more about skill builders or get in touch with you if they have questions?
So people can come to our website, www.skillbuildersllc.com. All of our contact information is on there. Folks are welcome to email me, Jane at skillbuildersllc.com, if they'd like to talk AAC. But for information about scheduling and services, they should be directed to Carrie Siren, our owner. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Anything else?
We love LAMP. We love LAMP.
Yay! We do too. Thank you so much, Jane.
Have a great weekend.
Thanks, you too.
Bye.
Bye.